Happy Friday afternoon to everybody. Hope you've had a great week and enjoying the great warm spring weather that's finally here. It's nice to have it. Thanks for your prayers for me as I was away. First couple days this week, just new place up in the cabin of a colleague in Patterson, who's offered that to pastors and church leaders to go and get away from things. So just a great time away, sort of out in the woods. And join a new place up there in and around um, the headwaters of the east branch of the Delaware River. So great time it was up there, and fell back came back to business of things that needed to be done, but it was nice to have the time away and even do a little bit of work and thinking there together. So um, just a couple of things. Again, a reminder that we are going to participate with the network of churches and build partnerships around the world, particularly being spearheaded by the network of churches in China to assist the Indian build networks in this time of real crisis with COVID and the devastation that we're seeing in India. Um, One part of God's family and one network, one part of the world, or the same network helping churches in another part of the same network. It's what you see happening in the gift that Paul and his team collected for Jerusalem in the New Testament, and that Paul delivers and eventually leads to his arrest and being sent to Rome. So a big underlying project and something that the gospel and the network of churches created an opportunity for. That is God's means of humanitarian relief and development, is His church. That's His distribution system for crises like that. And so that's what's being put into place with India. So um, please think through what you can sacrificially give on top of your normal giving. And bring that with you on Sunday. You can get it directly to Scott or to Mark, or put it in the um, mail slot there at the office, but just make sure it's clearly designated India alongside the other things that you normally designate for with general giving and benevolence, missions, whatever the other things are that you may be given to that week or in the month. But we want to put together a special gift that would go together with the rest of the global partners and build, particularly the Chinese churches, in trying to help that effort. So please be mindful of that and be prepared for that on Sunday. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or talk to me about it on Sunday as well. But that's a special burden that we're trying to carry right now. We've just finished session 4 this week of the first principles on becoming a disciple. I hope you're enjoying the progress of and the pattern of learning, both Sunday in focusing on the scriptures and its meaning, getting at the core ideas there, and then talking through the week in the Monday night or the Thursday night cohorts about the significance of those things, how we move those things now into our time and put them into practice in our lives, individually, but particularly as a church family. And we'll have a chance to even kind of debrief about all that together towards the end of the month. But we still have a couple of weeks ahead of us. So we're launching into session 5 this coming Sunday, which is titled The Lifestyle of a Disciple. And I'll look at the introduction to that here in a minute and just get you oriented and help you start thinking about this in on top of or in a manner consistent with the things that we've already laid down in the first 4 weeks of this study as well. But to remind you that please don't let too much time go by where you don't sit down and capture your thoughts. Here in the book on page 42, this is the end of session 4, the applying the principles. We talked about this week over the renewing of our mind that the first principles of Christ are the things which we have to put into our mind and put through our minds in a process like Paul lays out to us in Romans 12, 1-2, where we allow God to to transform us by virtue of our actively renewing our mind in the things that are of Christ. So offering ourselves to God, being prepared not only to listen and to learn, but to obey, to do something about them, to know and understand that that is part and parcel of Christ's plan and purpose for us. That it's the good life. It's the life now of the age to come that makes us part of this new humanity, this new family that we're part of in the church, and that has all been created by the gospel, the mercies of God that he explains earlier on in Romans, and that we saw back in the gospel message, that Jesus came not just to save us individually or to guarantee our future, but to bring us now into a new reality, to be part of the new age, and to live new lives, and have a new lifestyle, which we start thinking about today as well, and more in turn. The rite of initiation into that is baptism, which brings us into identification with Jesus, his message, with the threefold nature of God, but also his family. That it's symbolic of God hovering over the waters and bringing new life out of that in the beginning, the creation of the people of Israel through the passing through the Red Sea, and the fact that you're now on that side of things and you're moving forward, not backwards. Baptism, symbolic of that, and has echoes of all of those things in our individual lives and together as his family. And then we talked about the idea that there is this body of teaching, body of learning that we have from the apostles that we can call first principles, the elementary things of Christ, the core, simple, irreducible truths that have to be the foundation upon which we build our faith and our lives together in every way. And we have those in the writings of the apostles, and those are the things we not only need to know that they're there, but then we need to internalize, which is what we talked about in this process of renewing our minds. And the project that we have here, again, that just some initial sketchy thoughts, if they would be just make sure your learning goes to this step, is realizing that these things are more than just learning, more than just things that we learn. They have to be internalized. They have to become part of who we are. Only the Spirit can transform us. So God is the one who changes us by the work of his Spirit. But our part is to renew our minds. The first step to make a commitment to fully serve God. Offer yourself as a living sacrifice. Lord, all that I am, I offer to you, give to you. Guide me, teach me, direct me, change me, transform me, and I will learn these things and trust that you will do those things. Record your date and commitment. Write it out carefully, because you want to go back and to see this and go back and think about it, as if you were a new believer, or right now where you are, if you've gained some new understanding over this time. So please take time between now and Sunday to do that, and we'll begin our time on Sunday reflecting on anybody who's done some thoughts here, and celebrating that, and even praying for one another in light of that. I encourage all of you in the Simple Churches, and we will be meeting in Simple Churches at 10 a.m. as we normally do. We'll still be doing that these next couple of weeks. The final week of the month will be all together with all the churches in our summer celebration. We'll get back to that, and that's likely to be outside with the meal that you bring. You're bringing your own picnic lunch and sharing it with your family, not food with one another per se. But one of the things you'll note this week is a big change now in the CDC guidelines for masking and social distancing for those who are vaccinated. Still lots of caution for those who are unvaccinated, but that guidance has come down. We're waiting upon the state of New Jersey really to give us what they would have us do, and so we want to be sensitive to that, and not just go out there on our own. So we're trying to be good citizens still, but it looks like things are changing in that way, and the question issue will be being fully vaccinated, which means you've had both shots or had the one shot, and then 2 weeks has elapsed after that. Full vaccination is not the day you get your shot, it's 2 weeks after that. So that's kind of the benchmark that we're thinking of. But all that to say that vaccines readily available. If you still haven't gotten it and need help figuring it out, talk with someone. Number of people can help guide you in that if that is the case. But I've noted in my polls that many of you have been in that process, and now even young people, as young as age 12, are able to get into that process too. So looking out, things are going to be improving, and but we have the summer ahead of us too, an opportunity also to be outside, so that the unvaccinated aren't over on that part of the church, and the vaccinated over here. We don't want to do that. We're all one, vaccinated or not, and so we're just going to take things a week at a time with that. Being Christianly about it, being Christ-like about it, being driven and guided by love and grace, not because someone says we can, or this. We'll figure all that out together in the best way for all. But be mindful of just things changing and developing in the weeks to come. But all that to say, again, please take time to do that and write this commitment out. Let me stop this and go to the next issue that we're going to be looking at, and that is this issue of the lifestyle of a disciple, and that is here. So we're in the last of our new conversation. This is the last time we'll have a new passage. Next week we'll be wrapping all this up together on Sunday and in the week following, in order to bring all of our learning together and to integrate it. We've looked at 5 different topics. We've looked at 5 different passages. This is the last of the 5 right here. A longer passage, so give yourself time to read it and to reread it, and just allow yourself to be immersed in it and try to understand once again what Paul is doing here. Interesting, this passage follows on a couple chapters after the passage we saw last week, and in many ways this passage in Romans 14 is what Paul has been leading up to. The whole letter has been leading up to this, because we have a problem in Rome where you have former Jewish Christians and former pagan Christians who are clashing over worship styles and foods to be eaten, and one side not accepting the other side and some of their customs and practices, things that are not essential to who they are and what they do as believers. And so Paul needs to address that, because he wants Rome to be united in a holy church, a strong church, so that he can take the gospel from Rome all the way as far as Spain. Talks about that in chapter 15. So in many ways, Romans 14 is where Paul's argument is leading up to. He's laid out, here's what God has done, here's now how we need to respond to that, and that makes us one family, and we need to be one-minded, holy, welcoming one another. It says that in 15:7 in the chapter to come after this one. So keep all that in mind as you read this passage. It's part of a larger symphony. This is one tune in a larger symphony, or a larger movement of piece of music. So we're just getting a spotlight on that. The introductory paragraph here just sets the tone for our conversation tomorrow and into next week on Monday night or Thursday night. The lifestyle of a disciple. Jesus upset the entire Jewish establishment by whom he associated with and how he related to the world. He ate and drank with people that the religious people thought he should avoid. He was clearly purpose-driven. He wanted everyone to encounter his gospel and his teaching. And he wanted his disciples to follow his model. One of the most tragic things that can happen to a new disciple is to be given the impression by well-meaning but greatly misguided believers that the life of a disciple is basically obeying a set of rules. The rules, expectations, and lifestyles of many churches can become a form of slavery that destroys the spirit of our newfound freedom in Christ. Year by year, these rules build a wall between the non-believing world and us. There's a problem right there. The gospel is supposed to set us free. God intends for us to live by the first principles of the faith, not the dirty dozen rules for all Christians to avoid. Our faith will be built either upon a rule-based foundation or upon a principle-based foundation. It's crucial for you to understand this so that you'll be empowered to stand on your faith and not on the lifestyle opinions of others. The passage in this section, Romans 14:1-23, is the classic passage on living by principles and preserving your freedom in Christ. Master it. So as you think about this issue, and we go into this starting Sunday and into the week ahead, why is this such an important issue to grasp and to get a hold of early on in the Christian experience? Remember, Paul wrote the letter to the Romans to a group of people in a church that he did not found, and who he's sending a letter ahead of himself so that they really understand the basic things that he would teach them if he was there from the beginning. And that's what he's laid out in the gospel that he shares and in the good news about Jesus in Romans 1 to 11, the story of Jesus, God and his world centered on Jesus, and now what it's like to be in part of this new people in 12 to 16. And right here at the heart of that is this issue of the lifestyle of the disciple in Romans 14. So it's something that needs to be grasped very, very early on in the life and experience of the believer who's now part of this family called the church. So study that passage. I recommend you read a couple different translations if you can, your favorite, and another one that you go to often. I use the New Living, the ESV, another one called the Kingdom New Testament that you can probably find online, whatever the case may be, King James if you prefer that. But read the passage, then ask these questions, then read it again and try to capture your thoughts on these things. What does it mean to have your own convictions before God? What does that mean? What does it mean to judge one another? What does it mean to hold another in contempt? What are we talking about when we ask that question? What does it mean to cause another to stumble? What does it mean to be strong in faith, weak in faith? Paul uses these terms. He's talking about a set of ideas. What does he mean? We're trying to get at that. So focus your energies on determining what the meaning of these things are and why they're so important. And we'll think through the implications, and the significance of those things. On page 44, there, right before the Consult the Scholars section, there's a space where you can record the core teaching and jot a few things down related to those questions here in before we get together on Sunday. Very quickly, 20 minutes, half an hour, if even that. Just make sure you don't let any ideas get away from you. Get them all here and then add to them when we have our discussion on Sunday around the core teaching or Romans 14, 1 to 23. We're coming to teach one another. We're not coming to be taught. We're coming to teach one another and to learn from one another. It's a very, very important idea a habit that we're developing together. So it's not in the hands of a few to teach everybody else. It's everybody coming prepared to learn from and to teach one another. So it's a very, very important idea, and your preparation is very important to that. So I want to encourage you in that way. So that's where we're heading on Sunday. I look forward to seeing you all then, and just pray you have a great weekend. Talk with you then, and God bless you.